We've had 2 games for our round 14. Our Friday nights, we had Storm and the Cowboys there. That was a fun game if you like it, some attacking footy. But then you got to the second game and Dolphins put on an absolute clinic. So shout out to those guys. That was some spectacular viewing. And some of the individual performances out there, Averillo with that skip across field and the ability to make that short right foot step and basically get untouched in that scenario there is incredible. When you're running so fast at sideways, to be able to do that and just completely fool the defense, that was very, very impressive. But let's kick it off with the Storm boys for their fantasy perspective there, and we have to go back to NRL.com. I feel like I've been black banned or something, guys. All 3 games this week have no stats. So you go back to last week and it's all good, and then this week it has. So let me know what you think. Have I been shadow banned, like they say on YouTube? Let me know. Now, for those boys there, we'll have a few of the stats up, but I did get to watch these, so I can just generally discuss it for you, and you've got the stats in front of you, or you can have a little bit of a look later. But the Storm boys, they do miss round 15, which we've been speaking about for a while. 12 and 15 there. And after that, they're going to be great picks, and Hughes is one of those boys. It looked like he was back. A beautiful score for him in this one. Hit the 80s just like last year. The speed was back. The fearlessness was there. And I feel like he's a very, very clear buy in round 16. When you look at his price point there of 535k, it's pretty ridiculous. And he's only going to increase a little bit. Like, it won't be anything crazy. It's him. It's guys like Matt Burton. And now Burton's going to be the perfect pick for round 15 coming up. But then he misses 16. So if you are covered in that section, but then you are struggling a little bit more for round 18, then Hughes at this price point, it's a terrific time to climb into him. So I'm personally going to be looking for him in round 16, 17, heading into 18. I wouldn't want to leave it too much, just with his the ability that he can have back-to-back 60s, 70s, 80s like he did last year. So just have a good look at him and what he could do for you in those later rounds. So check your buy planning and go from there. Now, Eli Katoa, another strong game from him. He's starting to build some consistency, which is great. And the only real difficulty with this, with Eli Katoa, is that the edge is such a good position. You've got guys like Preston who cover so many of those weeks. Again, not round 16, same as Burton, but you've got him. You've got guys like Ewan Aitken that can do a great job. You've got Kaipis Paul absolutely crushing it. You've got Dylan Lucas that could be played there, amongst many others that I have forgotten. Siwan Wong, the goats of the game, right? That's where Katoa could be a little bit of could be harder to buy, given the other guys could be a little bit better, and you could buy them now rather than waiting till 16. But keep them in your thoughts. Nelson, Sofa Solomona, he's only in the 400s. Found that price pretty interesting. The question's going to be, does he start more? He always has his moment in the season. We've seen him in the past play some big minutes on the edge, be a bigger minute forward, and they use him a lot. And I feel like last night they used both him and Stefano really well. I don't think Stefano did himself any injustice, apart from that one offload he tried to throw at the back that went back about 15, 20 metres in the end. Other than that, he was really good. He had a line break, he had 8 tackle breaks, and Nelson, very, very similar with his try as well. So a very, very impressive game for him. You could potentially have a look at Nelson in this one. He's coming into this week at 421. And the stats there show that it was an absolutely awesome game there. 119 metres in this one. Had the line break, had the try, but it was the tackle breaks that really dominated this one with 9 for him. 8 for Stefano. Hughes is back running the footy, getting those tries, obviously, but just looking for it and being around the ball a little bit more. As you could tell, he looked a little bit more confident in that shoulder that's been hampering him for a few weeks now. And I'm happy with the 5 tackle breaks, Munster as well. So a great performance for the Storm boys in this one, 38-14 victors. Now for Pappy, a 59 for him. I thought he looked really good, and the goals are just so helpful for his game. In games like this, you can pop over 6 goals and be sweet. You get your 12 points there rather than what it has been in the last couple of years, and that would be like a 47. In this game, he gets up near the 60 mark and he becomes more of an elite keeper. Now for him, he's someone that you can definitely look at post round 15. And I think we should. He probably sits around that top 5, top 6 for the wing fullback. So if that works for you, if you love watching him play like I do, I'm definitely going to consider him. But again, when you're looking at JC, you're looking at Drinky this week or next week, and then you're looking at guys like Teddy in round 15, maybe there's no room for him. If you're holding Tamale, these types of guys as well. Now, Grant, much better game from him, a decent warm-up for Origin that I felt, so hopefully he's all good to go for that arena. But, a loss for the Queenslanders would be lovely. For Munster there, decent score. I just think you're ready to sell, given he isn't the top-tier nature that we're seeing from Isaiah Katoa. What a freak. And these types of guys. So, Munster, done well for you. Another decent score after a lower one last week, but the big ones before that. So if you held all the way through, hasn't served you too poorly, and it's a good time to get out. Now, the only real disappointing one of this team, and for me anyway, because I thought he was going to break out this year, and as soon as I saw the round 2 bye, I was like, I don't think we can climb into that one, unfortunately, with the run that they had as well. And then he just has had the injury, and he just hasn't, similar to Hughes, hasn't come out and played as well as we would have hoped. Howe has had the 1 or 2 big good games. Hughes has had the same, couple of good games as well. But a 30 for Howarth, I just feel like it hasn't clicked. And when they go left, it's only really a kick to Coates or it's short to Blore, sadly. So just not getting the role. Someone that you can hold, but I just feel like if you've got avenues to move him on to better scores long term to help you next week, then that's the way to go. Otherwise, he's very, very cheap and it could be held. Now, Cowboys, it's really only the 2 players, the Drinky and the Purdue show. Dearden, that ball last night, across the front, that was, as they said in commentary, that was Latrell-esque, but a part of Dearden's game that he is building, and his ball play, his running, has been spectacular last month, along with Drinky and how he's played all year. So, wanted to shout that one out, but for Drinky there, he is in the top 5 best wing fullbacks, and therefore you have to consider him. He's cheaper than all of them and has no buys incoming until round 27. So Drinky, definitely someone to look at. I decided to hold off a little bit in this clash, given they're up against the Storm, but the last 2 weeks there he has delivered. He was up at 60, but down to a 56, unfortunately, for the Drink Man. But definitely someone to consider. Now he's got through the Storm, and we know how important he is with the goal kicking as well. Copped a few knocks as well and still was able to play great. Now, Purdue, 36 for him, mainly base, is sweet. The couple of offloads there. He will need attacking stats to be a keeper, in my opinion. That's the only problem with Purdue. Drinky, you're going to get it. Purdue, I think, is going to come in waves when they play lesser sides. And this one, I did expect this game not to be so high for him. I'm actually impressed to get up to a 36 because he had, those couple of runs, a couple of offloads there. Is he worth a buy or not? I'm not sure, personally. I think you definitely wait again. He's got 2 average, below 40 scores in his last 3, so his price isn't going to go anywhere over the next couple of weeks. I don't know if you want to climb into a guy that's mid-tier with chance of having big games, and we'll probably see a big game over the next 3, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, buy. He also didn't get the jewel, so that's the tough thing with Jackson Purdue there. Now, Dolphins and the Dragons, just wow. As I said, a bit of a clinic from the Finns, and the worry with the Dragons is there might be some change. Now, for the Finns, they missed 18. They've got a few good options still, and we'll go through a few of them now, and plus the the frustrating ones there. Now, with the Sarko, the 458k coming into this week is pretty wild, given we've seen him a couple of years ago when they first came into the league up near the 700k mark. Last year wasn't too great. This year's been the same. He's only been mid-30s. Now, I think he's going to have the odd game like this against not so great teams, and if the Finns can continue to play well, then you probably see more of it. The question is going to be, can the Finns keep this run up for a little bit, given they've got the next 3 games for them? Very, 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 very nice games for them to have. So if you've got Katoa, if you've got Farnworth, you should be very, very pleased with the run they've got coming up before that round 18 bye. And Asako could jump on and do well there, but you probably wanted to be on this week. Farnworth, bro, what a fun own. That's what I wrote there. Jump on if you aren't, because he's so strong. And he finally broke the streak of scoring a try every game because he got a double. So that was great, and it was definitely another one of those weeks where he got one at the end. Although the start of this game, he was able to get that try early, which was great to see. And another over 70 game for him. He's going to be a part of their attack. You can see it this year on that left. He's really getting involved on that front. We haven't seen that ton game yet, but they do have a lot more weapons across the field, and he doesn't have to. Looks like the last month or so, he's been waiting a little bit more for the ball to get out to him rather than coming and chasing it and feeling like he has to run, crab crossfield and get a lot of those TBs. He'll do it a little bit, but less than I think he used to, where he'd get that sort of ton with, 14 tackle breaks and 6 offloads and that type of thing. It's not that type of game anymore, but very, very strong in defense and doing a great job. So the best center to have, really, him and Lucas. And then we'll see how Euro goes later today. Now, Isaiah Katoa, just an incredible man. Love watching him play, but hate it not owning him. Thankfully, I do own in Dream Team, so there's a small part of me that is rolling with him, given I think I'm still 17th in Dream Team. But the easiest accumulator, and how do you spell it in Australia? I love how those words in the US, I think, because Microsoft Word's a US thing. Some of them are a little bit off, so it's like it skews your which one's the exact correct spelling. But there you go, we'll roll with it. Bostock, very, very, very cheap. Katoa, we'll just finish with it. I think he's a great buy, very expensive, but will be a top 3 half. Simple as that. So if you want him, sweet. If you want to go cheaper, to Burton, Hughes, all those type of guys, if you want to wait, also sweet. Bostock, very cheap. Looked good last night. The points just aren't really coming. That's the problem with him, is that, that's just not happening. Played so well last night, gets a 40. Jumped out of the gym, couple of big hits. So awesome for the side, but only getting 40. He's very, very cheap at 300k, 301 coming into this week, but just something to think about with Bostock. A cheap, cheapy cash out type of guy, but isn't scoring great. Although would have been better than Lawson, very clearly, unfortunately there. Now Plath, poor lad, hurt again. I just love watching him out there. I was like, it's great to see him back. And then when he was limping off, I was getting sad. I was like, surely not. It's not that the same foot that he's had an issue with, but he had that knee strapped up as well. So pretty rough go for Plath. Hopefully it's very short term. But even if he plays next week, he cannot be around 15 option now. Way too risky. And for the Dragons, as I said, back to the drawing board for them. I'm expecting some changes now. They had a couple of injuries in this one. Tuipulotu, very, very sad for him in this one to lose him to that hamstring very early in the game after being out for 7 weeks. He'd be dejected. Coach wasn't happy either. So it's very, very tough there. A shout to Couchman, top scorer as per usual. Did his job. Very happy with the score in a loss. Did drop 2 points to 54 overnight. He's just going to have, if he plays on this edge until Sewer comes back, he's just going to have 50 tackles for fun. And in games where it's a bit closer, you see last week 150 odd run meters, and then this week just the 70 odd. So tackle breaks, offloads, all that kind of stuff will come, and he'll get into the 60s and near 70 pretty regularly. If you bought, you won't be too dissatisfied, but a little bit annoyed that the team was just standing behind the 6-0 game, which is what you saw with a lot of these guys. But we do have to mention Cook next, just unlucky. So unlucky with this one. The time that everyone buys him, of course, is the time that he gets pushed out to center. And I'll put my hand up for that. I didn't have that in my analysis about him moving out to center. Just with the guys that they have on the edge right now, they're not as equipped to move, to just slide to center like Burbo and those types of guys are, which you see in a lot of teams where the back row will go. It just wasn't for them this week when you've got Luciano Leilua in that type of role. Raymond Faitala-Mariner and Toby Couchman just wasn't going to happen. So Cook was the guy to move out, and in a game where you get spanked, it was never going to be great. But it was a 20-point second half. Unfortunately, had the down date overnight from 32 to 28, but thankfully he kind of saved a little bit. And you haven't bought him at like 750k, so it's not as bad. But hopefully next week he just goes back to scoring well. It was never going to happen in that position. He had a few missed tackles early when the Finns were crushing it, and then moved out to the centres to be under 10 at half time. Makes it pretty tough. Now for Stewart, just too much standing behind the post, unfortunately for him. I wonder if the coach will stick with the young guys. You got him, Pacifica Tonga, as guys that I think were really solid. To be honest, there weren't a lot of missed tackles in this game, so a lot of them were untouched tries and things like that. So it's hard to pinpoint unless you go back and watch the tape as to who were the guys that were at fault. But I think Pacifica Tonga was really, really good. He worked hard, didn't miss any tackles. He'll make money. Surely he doesn't lose his spot. I think he's come in and brought some punch to this side. Stewart, a young gun. decent score of 39. Yeah, how's this going to work for someone like him? That's the question. We'll have to see. We'll see. There should be some changes. So hopefully those two guys do stay on the side. If anyone looking at Clemmer, he had 49 minutes, the 35 score, kind of back to normal with that low PPM that we've seen in recent history after going 3 really decent weeks there. Should improve. Like all their middles will improve over the next few weeks. Just with less time standing behind the sticks, but yeah, not too much else to say on Clem. And then King Tonga couldn't do much here. He's still learning, so we can't expect the world out of him. 25, don't play unless you have to. He had a little down date overnight too. Gutho with the 20-odd, 25 as well. Just wasn't going to happen this game. Dusted off, but unfortunately for him, he is a lower tier wing fullback option. So if you do own, just know that that's where you got. You're going to have lower games. And then Lawson, just a tough one for him. Didn't need this to start his career. Thankfully, had a fun one last week, but this week not so much. And as an owner, you just got to hope that he keeps the spot. If he doesn't, then tough, absolutely tough, because it looked really good. The thing is here with Tuipulotu out injured, he should keep his spot, and they'll see Tyrell Sloan come back in, and they'll give Lawson another chance, and hopefully Lawson goes to the left where he played well last week. Sloan back to the right. So that's the the Friday night round 14 games there. My analysis, guys. Good luck in today's games. Just the 2, 5:30 and 7:35 there. Go and enjoy those games. Have a cracking long weekend. Enjoy your Saturday. Bit of sun out where I am. Hopefully it is where you are too. See you guys.